Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our event, which is around redefining youth involvement in mental health research, which sort of officially launches the Youth Advisory Network, and we're glad to have all of you with us today. And this event is being hosted by Sangat in collaboration with Center for Mental Health, Law and Policy and Restless Development, three organizations that share a strong commitment towards youth engagement in mental health. So today's session will be recorded and shared with all the participants. And here's a quick look at today's agenda. So we'll start with an opening address by Dr. Soumitra, who is the director of Center for Mental Health Law and Policy. Next, we'll have the official launch of the Youth Advisory Network, where some of our YAN members will share their expectations from of the network. And last but not the least, we'll have a panel discussion with three inspiring young people, Harshita, Pihu, and Soumya, on who's driving youth mental health. That will be moderated by others. So we can begin. I think for the next session, to reflect on what it means to move beyond youth mental health engagement, uh, we would like to welcome Dr. Soumitra Pathare, Director of the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy. And over to you, Soumitra.
Yeah, thanks, Shruti. Thank you so much for that introduction and getting this started. Hi, welcome everyone. Uh, we are really excited about this particular project that we have started off, and I'm going to give you a little background to this whole process. Many months ago, when we were engaged in the Being project, we had a youth advisory board for that project, and something that struck us or struck me and Abhijit Nadkarni, who's the director of ARG at Sangat, and we were both uh, co-leading that Being project, is that when we advertised for youth advisory board members, we noticed two different things that happened. One was that uh, there was very little diversity of applicants, which really meant that we only got a particular kind of applicant, and that was usually people who were very urban, very fluent in English, and many of them who had a mental health background, as in something to do, as in, and I don't mean mental health as in lived experience, but mental health as in professionally. They were either studying or had completed some mental health specialty. And we had very little geographical diversity, very little rural, urban kind of diversity. So what struck us was the lack of diversity. And what happens when you're doing these, that was one issue. The other main issue that came up, we realized, was that very often when you have youth advisory members, uh, if they are not particularly aware of the issues that are involved in mental health or mental health research, or where things are currently, then it ends up becoming very tokenistic. This was something that we also had realized it during another project that we had done called Mindkind, which was a large multi-country project. But there, we actually did spend a lot of time building the capacity of youth advisory board members. Now, many projects don't actually either have that space or time to do that, or just haven't budgeted for it in terms of time to do that capacity building. And so this is what got us thinking, saying, look, we should be able to, is there a way to be able to recruit people for working on youth advisory as youth advisory board members for various projects? And to be able to sort out these deficiencies, really. Many projects, increasingly funders are asking for projects working with young people to have participation from young people as well as people with lived experience. And so increasingly, a lot of projects will have youth advisory board members. And the idea of youth advisory boards has been that they are kind of they co-create as well as co-design whatever intervention or research that that particular project is trying to do. And we felt that this particular deficiencies, one is a lack of capacity building, and the second is the lack of diversity, really means that these projects don't really benefit sufficiently for it. So that's what got us to get this youth advisory network started off. The idea is that over a period of time, we will be able to build capacity of the members of this network. And hopefully, over a period of time, not only will they be able to participate in projects run by our own organizations, but we would also encourage other organizations, if they are planning to have youth advisory boards for their projects, to maybe get in touch with us, and we could help them with recruiting participants for their youth advisory boards. So that's the idea. So this is actually not a closed kind of a thing, as in only Sangat and CMHLP being able to benefit from it, but it's actually open to the wider mental health sector. And we can help ensure that you have diversity in your boards. This is a big issue for us, diversity, and we are really keen to ensure that diversity is respected as well as we build diversity. And I know that at the moment, when we are just starting off this, we still don't have a very diverse group in this youth advisory network. And over the next few months, we are hoping that we will get more. If you know people from very diverse backgrounds, especially people with lived experience, who are non-English speaking, and who come from different marginalized backgrounds. That's something we would really like to involve in this. We will pay a lot of attention to building capacity. We will also, over a period of time, ensure that we have in place things to help people participate. Like, for example, today we don't have online translation, for example. But I'm very sure as we go along, and if we are organizing any kinds of capacity building events, we will ensure that people are able to participate, and that the language is not, for example, a barrier to participation. So with this, I'm going to stop here. I think I've spoken long enough. Thank you all for attending, and I'm going to hand it back to Shruti.
Thank you, Soumitra, for those insightful reflections. And to reiterate Soumitra's point on diversity, we are going to sort of hold, conduct other sessions which will be in other regional languages. So we will be disseminating information about YA and in other regional languages, and that's still work in progress. That's going to come soon. Now let's come to the most important part of today's event, which is basically the launch of the Youth Advisory Network, YAN for short. The Youth Advisory Network is a vibrant and growing community of young people from India between the ages of 18 to 25. And through this, we are trying to sort of bring together diverse voices across geographies, languages, identities, and lived experiences to meaningfully engage in mental health research programs and advocacy. Our aim is to ensure that youth are not merely just participants, but co-creators in shaping mental health initiatives. And in the short term, YN members will have opportunities to contribute to project-based roles, our internal trainings, join reading circles, and access our newsletters. In the long term, we are, like Soumitra said, we are working towards building a space where young people can play a more active role in mental health projects by meaningfully participating in research and program design, implementation and evaluation, and be fairly compensated for their time and contributions. We will also be adding a dedicated page to the Sangat and CMHLP websites soon, where you can learn all about YN and the members that have already joined us. So follow us on socials to know more about this. And to say that over the past few months, we have begun a rolling recruitment process for YN, and some incredible young people have already come on board with us. And as you can see, we have young people from across the country who have already joined this space. And now let's hear from a few of our YN members who will share what they hope to gain and contribute through this network. Arya, over to you.
Thank you, Shruti. Good evening, everyone. I hope I am audible. My name is Arya, and it is truly an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So, I am a 21-year-old from Kerala, and my personal journey has shaped my passion for mental health. Since the age of 16, I've lived with clinical depression, and this experience combined with my pursuit of bachelor's in psychology has given me a kind of a dual perspective because I've navigated the country's mental health system both as a service user and through various internships and roles as a service provider. And one profound moment was during my internship at Sangat, where I understood that there is a critical importance of making people with lived experience an integral part of the conversations and decision-making processes that directly has an impact over their lives. And this realization led me to a very crucial question. Why are the voices of young people like us not represented as much as they should be? And why are we not included in the very discussions that will fundamentally affect our well being and our future? And it is this deep conviction that motivated me to apply to be a part of the Youth Advisory Network. And I'm also here because I believe in the vital work that is being done by Sangat and CMHLP, and I'm extremely eager to contribute to them. And I believe that together we will, with every one of you who has embarked on this journey, we can amplify the authentic voices of the youth and can truly cooperate with researchers, policymakers, and everybody dedicated to do impactful work in mental health. And together, I hope we will make a real difference, ensuring that every young person's voice is heard and valued. Thank you so much again for the opportunity to speak, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thanks. Samarthya, you're next.
Hi, I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. Hi everyone. It's an absolute honor to be here. I am Samarthya Gajbie. I come from the city of Nagpur in Maharashtra. I belong to the Dalit community, and my research interest lies somewhere in understanding intimate partner violence in marginalized communities, how identities interact with mental health. And the reason why I'm very excited to be here is because I've seen that mental health research as a field has turned into a capitalist system which churns out papers like anything, right? Everyone wants to increase their citations, everyone wants to increase their publications, Scopus Index journals, and these have become buzzwords on LinkedIn. The work that CMHLP and Sangat are doing, I believe, counters this effect. They are focused on impact-driven work. They are focused on not turning the wheels of academia, but actually producing valuable content which will help people on the ground level. Where I can come in here is I want to understand why are Dalit students still being discriminated against. I had a So I studied from a big university, a private university in Bangalore, and I understood how English-speaking individuals are often preferred for positions of power. So I had to develop that skill. And for my master's, I actively chose to go to a public university, government university. And I saw so many students with such a keen interest, mind, such a sharp mind, but they were not given opportunities, not considered for positions of power, not considered for jobs. So I believe that when the people understanding the oppressed come from their come from their own communities, we can move towards fruitful research. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. And yeah, over to you, Shruti.
Thanks, Samarthya. Simran, you're next. You're next.
Hi, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, Simran, you are.
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Okay. Very glad to be here. So I'm Simran. I'm 27. almost 27 years old, and I studied psychology for my bachelor's as a result of my own lived experience with mental health struggles. I have this chronic pain condition called fibromyalgia, which coexists with depression and anxiety. So by studying psychology, I basically wanted to help myself, help understand myself, and also eventually be able to help others. But it wasn't that simple for me. Systemic issues came in the way of me pursuing further education. And I was basically forced into a world which I never wanted to be in, which is the corporate world, which just made my mental health worse, obviously. And so basically, the point is that, mental health struggles do not exist independently of the social structures that a person is a part of. And no one really taught me how to navigate that reality. I had to figure it out all on my own. And now, as I move back into academia, I one of my main goals is to make accurate mental health information accessible to as many young people as possible. And I feel incorporating the lived experiences of the youth in research is one step closer to that. And yeah, that's basically why I'm here. And obviously, the opportunity to network and connect with like-minded people.
Thank you, Simran. Thank you, Arya, Samarthya, and Simran for those insightful reflection. And yeah, before we move ahead, just a few quick notes for those interested in joining YAN. If you're between 18 to 25 years old, care about youth mental health, and want to be part of something meaningful, we'd love for you to join the Youth Advisory Network. But also please note that you don't have to be from a psychology or mental health background to join. You could be studying anything, arts, science, engineering, law, it doesn't really matter. What is really important is your interest and your passion. We also want this network to be reflective of the wide diversity of young people that exists in this country. So we especially encourage young people from diverse communities, especially marginalized communities, regions, and lived experiences to apply. And we are, like I mentioned before, we are working on sharing information about YAN in different regional languages soon, so we can reach even more diverse youth population. Another point is that YAN is totally free to join. There is absolutely no fee at all to be part of this network. Also, to be super clear, YAN is not a job or an internship opportunity. It is a network of young people who get invited to take part in different mental health programs depending on project needs. Some of these projects may be paid and some may be voluntary. It depends on the nature of the work, and you are not obligated to participate in everything. You can choose what you want to be part of based on your time and your schedule and your availability. Applications are open on a rolling basis, and our next set of calls will be coming out soon. So if this sounds like something for you, please go ahead and apply, and please feel free to pass it along to anyone else who might be interested. So we're finally moving into the panel discussion where we'll explore how we can meaningfully center youth leadership in mental health. This discussion will be moderated by Adarsh, who is a mental health researcher at Sangat. And now let me invite our amazing panelists who will be joining us today. Harshita Yadav, pronouns she, her, is a mental health professional and a researcher focused on child and adolescent mental health in low resource settings. She's worked on co-designing community-based interventions through projects like Empower and Sahara. Pihu Sanwaria, pronouns she, they, is a trans non-binary youth leader with restless development, working at the intersection of mental health, queer rights, and youth leadership. They have led work on adolescent well-being and LGBTQIA plus mental health, with experience in youth-led advocacy and research. Soumya Agarwal, pronouns she, her, works across youth engagement, digital mental health, and gender-based. She brings research and implementation experience, especially on a project centering lived experience. She has also previously served as a youth advisor at different projects. With that, I'll hand it over to Adarsh to start the panel discussion.
Thanks, Shruti, for the wonderful introduction, and thanks, Soumitra, for opening this session. I was also really inspired by what Samarthya, Simran, and Arya has also shared with regard to what they want to do as advisors and the future vision that they have in terms of advisory role positions. So, taking notes from those discussions and taking insights from what Soumitra had shared, we have a panel with young people who have extensive experience in terms of working either with young people or working as a researcher in the youth mental health space. And truly believe a lot of things can be taken for future YAN members and advisory role members. So I wanted to begin by asking an open-ended questions to all of the panel member and would really love to hear more about your journey. So what is the reason or what inspired you to kind of be involved in advocacy or youth mental health work, and what are the roles that you have taken up so far? So I would like to begin with Pihu, then followed by Harshita and Soumya.
All right. Hi, everyone. Very good evening to all. So, I would like to share that I've come from a community which has always been considered as outcasted or being a part of a discriminatory expressions. So, I am a part of a queer community, LGBTQIA plus community. And yes, I am a 21-year person living a transgender life here. So, I've been part of Restless Development since 3 years. I've been into various projects with them. I've worked with them into various projects. And the past which I worked in, the reason why I came into the social working sector or the things, because when you see yourself struggling from a mental health or coming from a background where you've always been faced discrimination, felt outcasted, that majorly inspired me because I've seen my own friends, my own circle suffering from all these situations, which made me like, okay, I have to do something for them. I have to make them voice to be heard. So, because it's not very easy to come out into your family and coming out to the community, because we still have the fear of the acceptance, whether the people gonna accept us, will they gonna accept like our identities, our expressions, because sometimes people still think that we are abnormals. So yes, we have to break that mentality. That was the major thing which hit at me, that yes, Pihu, you have to work on it. You have to work for your people. And so when I started working with Restless Development, it was a big for project funded by USAID, and the project name was Delhi Learning Lab, which was centrally focusing on young people, sexual reproductive health and rights, which is SRHR. So there were a lot of intersections of mental health among young people and the community people. So I have closely worked with the community people. So it was used to be one-on-one interaction with the community people, have going and having conversations, getting their ideas, understanding, creating some sort of spaces where they can speak, where they can come up and we can hear them voice. So it was a very good experience there. And now I'm a part of a project which is QT, which stands for Queer Affirmative Unicorns, Transforming Wellbeing Ecosystem. So it's a project where we are currently focusing, centralizing LGBTQI plus individuals' mental health and their connectivity, the parent and child connectivity majorly, because it's very important to bring that connectiveness between a parent and a child, because they are our first teachers. Because what I felt, if my family wasn't with me, if my people weren't with me, I wouldn't have came this much far. So the love which I got from my family, the love which I got from the community, I need this love spread it to all the people who belong to my community, who are the part of my community. I want their families to accept their child as that they are. I want to see everyone on a same platform, not being disgusted or not being discriminatory or having a felt of like disgust anyhow, because I have shared a lot of experience in a mental health. Like I have come from a mental health situation, then I came out, and then yes, working on it, keeps on working on it. So I understand what my people majorly goes through, because when it comes to lives experience, a person who have lived that can only share what they have lived for. So that was my major thing that I have to start working on too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Simran, for sharing that. I would definitely want to come back on that. Before that, I would like to hear from Harshita on what inspired her to become a young researcher.
Thank you, Adarsh. So I often say in my journey into mental health, it didn't started with being in a classroom. I think it began in the corners of the house and the homes and the stories that were not told. So it was shaped by lived experiences. I have been living with a chronic autoimmune condition that has significantly impacted my physical health and ultimately the mental health. And interestingly, the first person who supported my mental health wasn't a psychologist or a mental health professional. It was an orthopedic doctor, and he understood the emotional weight of having a chronic illness and responded with the care with mental health, all that. And I think that's the moment challenged my belief as a psychologist myself that only mental health professionals can provide meaningful support. It shows me how even basic mental health understanding can improve by any professional to make any differences. And later, I joined a project built on task sharing where non-specialist delivers mental health care. It also felt like that life has come like a full circle. My lived experiences now aligned with the model that believe care should be accessible to all. I think that, and that's how the deeper journey into mental health field began, and not just as a recipient of that, but as a contributor as well. And since then, as a young person, I have worn many hats. So I began as a psychologist in training, working with frontline health workers. I moved into research in helping in designing chatbots and digital tools for care and delivery. I also took a role of co-PI on projects to build resilience. And now I work as a project coordinator for early childhood development, working on the intersection of mental health and early childhood development, where I create parenting video interventions for families and in low resource settings, so that the parents can give the best start to your child, which is also somehow related to my early experiences of childhood. So I think all of my journey has been connected into somehow into my lived experiences and personal life experiences. At the same time, I also provide my insights as a active member of Developmental Partner Advisory Committee in the Women and Child Development Department of Madhya Pradesh. So I think across all the roles, there have been a common thread that I have drawn from my lived experiences and my understanding from the ground from what I'm doing. So it has evolved into going into the communities and not just with toolkits and preset answers. It has shifted a lot to asking questions and with a lot of curiosity. So yeah, that's how I've stepped into this, and that's how the journey has been. Thank you.
Thanks, Harshita, for sharing that. Over to you, Soumya.
Hi everyone. Good evening. So like basically everyone, like Pihu shared, Harshita shared, I think even my experience is really born from what Harshita mentions, like the corners of my house as well. So I also have had lived experience of anxiety and depression since I was 15. And I've also been a caregiver of a parent with chronic mental health condition, and I've also seen familial violence and domestic violence at my home. So I think all of this basically built my interest, and that's what really led me to doing my bachelor's and master's in psychology. And moving on to what really intrigued me into youth mental health, I'm going to be very honest, when I started my mental health journey, I did not know that young people could also be involved. For me, the notion was always that, oh, there are researchers, they're always adults in a way, and these are people who are like who are well established in their careers, who basically know what research is, who know what mental health is, that they've worked in their field. And I never thought that young people can also give their expertise in some of and use their basically experiences and contribute to the knowledge that's and build on it as well. So when I actually heard about the opportunity to be part of the Youth Advisory Board at Sangat, so this was one of the active ingredient commission project at Sangat in itself, which was for 3 to 4 months. And when I was part of it, it was really interesting to see that there are so many young people like me who have had the same experience. And it was again that sense of community that made me feel that I'm not alone within the space as well. And that really intrigued my interest, and I wanted to work more intensively within the space of mental health and specifically youth mental health. And then I also got the opportunity to be part of the Being Project at CMHLP and Sangat ARG, where I was the youth advisor, and I was basically managing a member of 9 to 10 youth advisory board members, to basically trying to incorporate their voices and their experiences as much as possible. So it was really a journey of using my lived experiences to be a part of how it looks like, and it was really exciting to have an opportunity to actually shape that experience in itself. And once again, I've also had those interests of working within the space of gender-based violence because of my personal experiences as well. So yeah, again, it's something that's building on, it's something that I'm working on, and hopefully that I'm able to be in the space of youth mental health and also work on it and evolve it.
Thanks, Soumya. Thanks so much for that. I'm pretty sure it was quite interesting to hear three different directions that Soumya, Pihu, and Harshita have taken from their own experiences and their own passion towards youth mental health and wanting to work in that space. One person was interested in working with parents, the other person has become an advocate in terms of working with the community, and Soumya has had experience being an advisor as well as leading an advisory group, which I find very interesting. So, Pihu, I had a follow-up question from your statement, and you have mentioned how important role your community and family play in supporting you and towards being an advocate. So, from your experience on the field, especially with transgender activism, so what are some of the critical barriers that you see, especially working with trans young people and on gender rights in your community?
Okay, so the project site where we are working in is Dakshinpuri. So it's basically a resettlement colony or a slum area majorly. So there are people who are from a marginalized community. They are living all together with diverse group of people, including different religions, castes, cultures, and everything. So a diverse group of people living all together. So the major barrier which I faced at first when I went into the field and start interacting with the people, I realized that there is still a stigma with them. So they've never seen a transgender woman working for an organization or working at a place. So they kept on asking, are you really working for it? Because that seems odd to us. So I felt, okay, why odd? Because I'm not begging, I'm not standing on road. It is because you find it odd. And then I realized there are a lot of people in the community itself who are closeted. So I can still see the pain in myself that when I look back to my journey, a 15-year or 14-year-old Pihu who was like, trapped inside her own body. I don't used to come out to anybody. I would never used to tell that, oh my God, I I feel this way, I am this way. Because I have always fear, okay, like what if my family abandoned me or just like kicked me out of their house, or how would the community gonna react? So the same fear is still in the community with the young trans people or the young closeted community members. Because I have experienced that, like I have seen how it comes from, like where is it coming from? Because we've been kept on like the parents or the family have taught this. Now, these are the particular gender norms or gender types you have to follow. Don't try to switch it. If you switch it, the society will gonna switch you out of the world. This is what I was always thought of. Then I realized it's not actually me. Whenever I look into a mirror, I feel like, oh, it's not me. That's not true me. The very first day I came out to my family, it was like a bombastic thing to them because I am the eldest child in the whole generation. So they were like, Pihu, what is this? And it is what it is. I cannot change it, neither you can. So they're like, okay, but you have to be aware that there are the more people like cousins of yours, or you're setting an example. As like, I want to set an example that I have broken the chain, I've broken that stereotype that okay, it's okay to be what you are, it's okay to wear what you want to wear, it's okay to have makeup, everything. And now I feel very safe in my family because it's very important for you to make your family understand you. The same goes with the community. The community is not much aware of trans people because they have seen them begging, they've seen them asking for money, or the major issue with they have seen in the society or the community we have worked in, due to some lack of opportunity, employment opportunity, most of the LGBTQI plus community or specifically trans community have to get into sex work, which turns out to be a reason of a mental health issue. And then, where I realized it's very important to sensitize the deep root of it, the deep root community, the deep roots where it is coming from, breaking the stereotypes from the roots itself. We cannot cut the tree from the trunk itself, it's gonna grow again, but we have to cut down, we have to focus on the roots. So then I realized, like, yes, Pihu, you have to do it. And then I started working and I started making that space, like a space for them where they can come, have conversation, and create. And I really thank Restless Development to create these sort of spaces in the community. We have set up a YRC, which is a youth resource center, where the people can come up, have the conversation. We like take sessions, trainings, meetings, and several events. We do celebrate several events, and it's coming in the way as it's the Pride Month as well. So we are planning some sort of like visibility things. So, and I also believe this that people would not going to trust you until unless it's visible, whether it's your identity, whether it's your mental health, or whether it's any XYZ factor of your life. I realized this until unless I wouldn't have been this much expressive, the people won't gonna like trust me that oh, I am a trans woman. I have to be as a woman to prove people that oh, I am a woman. And same goes for people who are suffering from mental health, that there should be some physical signs to prove them that they are suffering from a mental health. But it's not true. We have to break that stereotype. We have to break that stigma. So for a people of my community, it's again a very difficult thing to come out and then struggling from a mental health and then living the life or being what the way we are. But it's very difficult. But yes, working here, it's something that I am on the way to change something. I am on the road, on the path to change something, and I've seen changes in some of my people, and I feel glad when they smile at me. And then I was like, yes, Pihu, you did something, and there are more to go. So yeah.
Thanks a lot, Pihu, for sharing that. It's truly inspiring to know your entire journey and specifically the role that both Restless Development and your family has played in terms of supporting you and helping you through that particular journey. This reminds me of something that Harshita had spotted about how her motivation towards mental health was inspired by early experience and how she wanted to work with parents, and now she is working both on interventions that are focused on mothers as well as working with the women and child department as a consultant. So I was very interested in knowing how has your experience been working with parents, and what is the kind of engagement and changes that you were able to see with your work with them.
So I think I've started my work with them, but what I can share about is that how it has been created. I think that's a very colorful and fruitful journey from me. So, as a young researcher and a person who has stepped into that field, I've seen this very closely, like entering in the field with a like beautifully designed interventions, and then only you realize that they don't speak the language of what you have already done. So I think that has changed my approach and also understanding and how I work and how I see all of that again. Because I remember that I work with Anganwadi workers and the caregivers. So, working with Anganwadi workers and knowing from the caregivers, it wasn't the theory that actually shaped the intervention. I think it was the local stories, the everyday insights, the cultural logic, and they were not just pointing out the gaps, but they were helping us in bridging these gaps in changing it. So I think that has been a very enriching journey, and I think that's why I believe that co-creation, which is the core of my work as of now, uh, is not just an innovation, but sort of feels like a justice when I do a work, because every time we are like, what are you bringing next? Okay, what is the innovation that you're doing? So for me, I think it was like a video intervention or everything, but I think uh, giving voices to people, and I think with the youth as well, and being a person who I have not worked with youth directly, but as a young researcher, I can share all of my experiences with you. So I think it's not about giving voices, because they already have voices. And this is what I also felt with caregivers, Anganwadi workers, and all that. It's about giving back authorship to the stories, to the system, and the future, and to include those people, and like holding a door for them, like let's build that door together, rather than just like to just sit down on the floor and design like what are the kind of things that what is the kind of space we want, what are the kinds that you need. I think that too, because I think that has helped in actually uh, discovering the problems, because then people yeah, I think when we treat people as subject, we discover the problem, and when we treat them as co-thinkers, we also unlock the possibilities that we can do. So I think my work in co-creation and with parents, with Anganwadi workers, and the change and throughout the work has been around this now, and uh, connecting it with the youth mental health, I think again, which also brings with uh, that it's not just professionals or academicians who are doing it. It should be the one who are living with it, and who are reshaping it every day by themselves. So yeah, so it's like a vehicle as well. So like usually we do ask, like I remember in the poster we had written about who's driving youth mental health. And I think the question that we are asking is, I think, is something that should come in the last, and we should be asking. And this is what I've realized. And while I was talking this, I realized is that I think we should be asking about who builds the vehicle and who mapped the road, uh, who decides to get hold onto the wheel. And then we move towards that. How, like who is driving this mental health journey and involving youth and everybody. So yeah, so I think that shift from consultations to co-creation is something that I've learned throughout this in working with each of the domain. I hope to answer that question. If not, I can reiterate. Thanks.
No, that was really helpful, and you have raised some very important points that definitely needs answering in terms of who is building it rather than who is driving it. And I don't think I'm the right person to ask, but I feel that we have someone within our team who has been on both sides as a creator as well as the person who has managed a youth advisory board. So I would like to take Harshita's question and directly ask that to Soumya, as in how are young people currently engaged, and what role do they play in creation as well as implementation? Over to you, Soumya.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a very good question, and this is something that I've also been seeing. I've basically seen the evolution since I was part of the youth advisory board, and I was also when leading the youth advisory board. So I feel quite optimistic about the whole scenario because things have changed for better, definitely, but there's always scope for improvements in a lot of areas when it comes to who's leading it, who's being part of it, and how do they need to get involved. I remember this was around 7 years ago when I was part of the youth advisory board. It was happening either through connections, it was happening through networks. It was not that it was not basically a buzzword. Youth mental health was not a buzzword as it is right now. So people, like very limited people were involved. Like you had to be really in the creamiest layer to be known about these opportunities. So I think I was lucky to be a part of it. I was lucky to be referred for it. But I think back then there was very limitations in who was being involved, in the sense that it was limited to people who were either, as Dr. Soumitra also mentioned, that it was either the upper caste English-speaking folks who were primarily involved as well. And it was also, interestingly, what was also happening before was it was overuse of similar voices. And I don't mean by in the sense of similar population, I mean similar individuals. There were overuse of certain individuals being involved from one youth advisory board to another. And I think this youth advisory network opportunity is really working on that, and it will definitely help tackle that as well. And in terms of talking about co-designing, co-creation, again, I feel we have really come a long way over there as well. Earlier, what used to happen was it was just that there used to be certain materials, and then after it was developed within the research team, it used to come to the young people, and then we used to give feedback to them. I feel there has been a very slow progress on this. There has been more conversations about co-designing, co-creation, but again, I certainly feel that it has been on a surface level as well. I feel there needs to be a we really need to talk about what co-creation is. And for me, that is involving young people from the inception of the project, not after the research questions are already made, the research questions are already written out. I think if you're building a project on young people, they need to be involved from the beginning as well. And yeah, I think these are the points I think that is something that I've seen happening over the years. And one of the interesting things that's happening now is also like one of the drawbacks that really uh, that acts as a con or as a disadvantage for people who are not part of the psychology background is that people who have a research background, they they get the most leverage out of what's happening within the project as well. And this is something that I've observed within the space of global north versus global south. So when organizations from the global north are really recruiting youth advisory board from low and middle income countries, it's people who already have the research background, who already know about these opportunities. And again, they're privileged, they are coming from English speaking uh, background, they get the opportunity to be part of it. I think Global South organizations are really working on it. They're trying to make opportunities more accessible to have as diverse population as possible. But I definitely feel there's a lot to work on it, but we're definitely walking on the right path.
Thanks, Soumya. Again, I find it very interesting how you were involved in the process that has happened and the changes that has happened within the mental health research space, and how youth engagement has changed in our field. I wanted to ask some similar questions to P, who has been more active in the community and has worked a lot closer on ground and in the field. So I was interested in knowing how co-creation and youth engagement has changed in the
So I guess it's very important to bring young voices to a platform. And when it comes to the co-creation, it's very important to bring young voices to understand what they are actually demands for. Because sitting on a table in a room with an AC, having a laptop and writing the policies out, writing the things out doesn't work well. We need young people to come on stage and say that, yes, we need it. We require these things. We need this. We need these changes. Then it goes into a right path. Coming back to my life, I've seen things which doesn't go well, like when it's already written or when it's already stated, because somehow it doesn't correlate with me or somehow it doesn't correlate with my community. It doesn't. But when I see young people from the community where I closely work with, and they come on to me and they're like, okay, there should be things like this. Pihudi, there should be things like this. We can do this. It creates a space. It gives them a space where they are very vocal what they are asking for. Because the people that we work with, they might like, I would say this, that as even Soumya have mentioned this, that people living with the privileges are to be brought up on a stage. But when it comes to the people who are like, who are from the marginalized places, who are like living with like, I would ask, like I would add people living with disabilities, people from LGBTQIA plus individuals, or people who are like, who are suffering from mental health, or part of like some sort of these groups, which has always been a part, which has always been seen through a lens of disgust, abnormals, discriminatories, something like that. We have to bring that voices all together to understand what they are actually needed. People like the work which I did, or like the people who I'm working with, because we have always been seeing this, that cis het mentality have overpowering LGBTQI plus individuals. So even with the project that we're working in, it's like basically closely working with that parent-child connectedness. So it's very difficult to make them understand that it's very important to talk about your mental health. It's very important um, to raise your voice or to ask or to demand what you require for. And it's only possible when we bring young people to a platform. It's only done when like when pages are written by young people, then it seems very relatable. A 40-year-old guy sitting on a table and writing things for a young people, it doesn't make sense to me at all. But when I see people from my community of my age group, are people who have the lived experience in writing the policies, writing out any statement, then I would find relatability to it. And I guess every young people would feel relatable to it. Yes, this is something which we are closely connected to or attracted to. So I guess co-creation, bringing young voices has to be made, and it's very important to bring it all together to make a better world with better mentality of people. So because yes, we have to keep on working, because change is not something that we can do. It's like click, or it's like, oh yes, now it's my dream life. No, it's not like that. I have to keep on working to build my own dream life. I need my people to build their own dream life. So it's very difficult. But yes, hence proof it's not like impossible at all. When it's in your mind, let your pen to write, let your hands to work, and yes, you have your dream world.
Also, I would like to add something that we have said, uh, like following up on bridging on that. So I think what is really also important is to think about that why are we not including them? So I think that's also very important. It's not because they lack insight. It's not because they don't care. It's not because system don't trust their power. It's more about that we usually see youth as a beneficiary and not designers. And while we were talking about this, I also thought about the work that we do. We do engage in a lot of public engagement activities. So in most of the time, we're like giving to the people. rather than actually taking a lot in public engagement activities. So they are like the stories or something that, and that is also because of one of the major thing that a lot of our projects and the work that we do or the program we do get funded, and these fundings also uh, get very rigid with numbers, matrix, and chasing for scale. Uh, that keeps the experts like removed from the realities of actually what we need. And there are also structural changes as well. I think Soumitra has mentioned in the first time that tokenism and gatekeeping, I would say. Like me, gatekeeping, okay, in the first, while I was doing my master's, like that mental health care can be given by the professionals or psychologist or the psychiatrist, right? But as Soumya also mentioned, that often global north and global south usually have their based actors who will do that. And also like fear of risk in like youth idea can be too bold, too emotional, uh, or maybe not scalable. I think uh, all of these connections together also hinders in some of the ways where we don't see a lot of youth engagement. So I think we as people also who are working in the spaces where in the journey that we have come, I think speaking about uh, for asking for diverse people need is also really important. I think we also could provide platforms to them. I think the buy-in network is actually going to be a great start for that. So I think that all of this makes a lot of sense and connections to me, and also makes me think more about how can I change few things for what I'm working on or to create a change. Also, thank you, Pihu and Soumya, for sharing your thoughts.
Thanks, Ashita and Pihu. I'm just being mindful of the time, and I wanted to ask a lot more follow-up to you both, Pihu and Harshita. But given I'm pretty sure some of our participants would also want to ask the all of you questions, and I had one more question that I wanted to ask. So a lot of people within the audience would also love to apply for the YN and take up advisory role positions. So I wanted to check with each of you, what is the one thing that you wish that you knew when you started going on this journey, so that it can be helpful for people who are starting on their advocacy journey. Starting with Soumya.
Yeah, I think mine is very generic, and this is something I also tell myself from time to time to actually calm myself down. Is it's okay to take time to figure things out, what really works for you. If you're really trying to work within the space of youth mental health or mental health in general, it's okay to just explore and see what really works for you. Are you really interested in program design? Are you really, do you really love doing policy or advocacy? I think just take that time. I think it's not going to get too late as well. I feel when I was just coming out of college, when I was 22, 23, it just felt like, oh, by 27 or 28, okay, I will have certain things in mind. I will do certain things. And, when you're 23 or 24, 27 seems like such a huge age for you. But what a joke now, which I realize now that I'm 27, is, yeah, it's okay to just take some time out to figure things out. And yeah, I think that's my small advice to people who are starting out.
Thanks, Soumya. Next, I would like to invite Pihu, but just before that, I just wanted to let everyone know that the chat feature is enabled, and if you have questions that you want to ask to the entire panel or to anyone specifically, please do put it on chat. Over to you, Pihu.
So like same, I like do very correlate with Soumya because I can see that because I also keep on telling this thing to me that it's okay, Pihu, to be expressive. It's okay to let your expressions like flow out. It's okay to be like it's okay to be what you are because I've been taught to be very, exclusive. I've been put it in a place where, like, no, you should not have some friends, you should not have some people to talk with. I've been that isolated who somewhere, but now I'm being a very inclusive who. It took a very whole journey. It took like years for me to realize, no, that's not real you. It's real you here sitting in front of you. So what that is something which I want everyone to understand. It's okay that sometimes your expressions flow, sometimes you feel alone, sometimes you feel like being with people. It's okay, whatever you feel. And yes, your feelings are worth. You can feel whatever you can.
Over to you, Harshita.
I think for me, first thing was, or maybe I would really love to go back and tell myself is that it's okay to not know enough. Because I think not knowing enough was something that, oh, I don't know this. How I will contribute. Okay. This will come down with a top-down approach. I think that's changing that thing or perception would change a lot of things for me. And also second thing that would have helped and also helped me in certain is like two things. I think having people uh, who were always there to back up, and also networking skills that helped a lot, and maybe for even for the youth people. I think because when you are at the stage of like, okay, what should I do? So I think what always helped me is that I tried to put my legs on everything or my hands on everything to get the exposure, but at the same time to try finding out your niche areas where you want to really work into rather than spreading all over. You can have experiences with other things, but try to find out your genres because I think that becomes really helpful in a longer term. And yeah, these three things, I think, fine with not knowing enough. And if not knowing enough, then moving to networking and getting in touch with people who know enough. And then the last part. That's it.
Great. Before we end, I just wanted to ask if there was some thing that I missed asking or something that you really wish you want to share with the audience.
Yeah, just a very small thing I was also thinking about in terms of what like the future youth mental health would be. I think recently we're also just discussing there has been a lot of discussion about decolonial ideas. So I think especially within Global South discussions and whatever opportunities we have within here, it would be good for like youth advisors or youth advisory board members to have that space to question these theories, question the ideas that we are working on, and make it more relevant to the culture that we are working with, and also just question it as much as possible. I think that would be really helpful.
Thanks, Soumya. Anyone else? Thanks, Pihu, Harshita, and Soumya for these powerful insights and sharing your own experiences and journey, which I'm pretty sure a lot of our audience would have found helpful and would have also inspired a lot of young people to join the YAN. So today's discussion also emphasized the importance of having young people be there from the start of any mental health program that includes designing, being decision maker, being on the field, and also working at policy level if possible, so that their voices are heard throughout. Our objective through the YA is also enable young people to do this and create a platform where youth leadership and youth experiences and insights are moved forward. I'm looking forward to having many similar chats with you and staying in touch with the entire group to keep this momentum going and getting more insights and feedback on how we progress with the YN. So with this, I end the discussion. And if anyone has any questions that you want to take up with the panelists, we would be happy to forward it to them at a later stage, about which Shruti would be saying more. Over to you, Shruti.
Thank you, Pihu, Harshita, Soumya, and Adarsh for such an engaging and thoughtful discussion. Before we close, a quick note for everyone. Again, the applications are open on a rolling basis and we'll be announcing the next round of calls pretty soon. So if you're eligible, please apply. And if you know someone who might be a good fit, do share this opportunity with them. And for any other queries or updates, feel free to write to us. The email is on the screen display. I'll just wait for 5 seconds for you to note down the email if you want to. Also, we are open to any feedback, any other thoughts that you would like to share with us, because this is work in progress and we do want this space to be more inclusive, and we do have some plans in the pipeline in how we can do that, and we always welcome new perspectives and new ideas to do the same. Yeah. So thank you all once again for joining us today. This is just the beginning, and we are excited to build this community with you. Take care and see you soon.